Hello and welcome to Byte Basics. I'm Earl Yeager. Today on Byte Basics, we're going to look a little further at PowerPoint, and specifically how we can use PowerPoint to create some custom graphics for our work, whatever it may be we're doing. So there's several different tools built into PowerPoint that let us build customized images for a variety of different purposes. If you'll go ahead and look with me over here at my screen, we've got PowerPoint open here, and with PowerPoint we're going to look at some of the tools that are built into PowerPoint to create different kinds of custom images. So across the top we have several different menus here, but if we look at the Insert menu, on the Insert menu you've probably used clip art or maybe the photo album options before, but we're going to take a look at a few of the other options that are here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Shapes tool. So underneath Shapes, you have several pre-built drawing tools that allow you to draw different kinds of shapes. So we can utilize these shapes in order to create a variety of different kinds of graphics. So I can go in here and find shapes from any of these categories to begin a particular project. So maybe I want an arrow, maybe I need a triangle, any of those things are available in here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with using a star. So we're going to go ahead and click and drag a star, and notice I can get a wide, narrow star or a narrow and thin star, so you have several different ways of doing that. Now, if I want it to be a regular shape or a kind of a perfect version of a star, if I hold down the Shift key on the keyboard, it'll automatically jump to a perfect version of that shape. I can keep, as long as I keep my mouse down and I'm stretching, I can make it bigger or smaller, but I'm always going to get a perfect star. So let me go ahead and do that one more time so we can see the difference there. Go ahead and delete that one. I'm going to draw it again, and this works with any of the shapes. This time I'll go ahead and do it with, say, let's do it with an octagon. So without the Shift key, if I click and drag to draw an octagon, I can get variations on an octagon. I can get narrow and tall ones, wide and short ones. I have several different options on how I'm doing this, but I don't know if I'm getting a perfect octagon or not. So if I want a regular octagon, a perfect octagon, if I hold down the Shift key, now every one I draw, no matter where I put my mouse, is going to be a perfect octagon. Okay? So I can utilize that to get a perfect version of the shape. Okay? So you can do that with any of the shape tools here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a star again here. And we'll draw another star. Also, when we're working with these, we have some other options. I'm going to go up here to the drawing tools and go to Format. So we can do a variety of different little things with this star here under the Format options. Here in the middle, under Shape Styles, we have a variety of different ways we can colorize our star. Let me slide it over a little bit so we can see it while I'm doing this. So we can colorize our star with a variety of different options. It also gives us some edging options. You'll notice that some of these look like they have beveled edges. So we have several different ways we can look at our star that way. And there's some other theme gradient shading options here. So we can look at any of these and use those as an option for our shape. We can also independently change the shape fill, shape outline, and any effects with the shape. So I can go to my shape fill options and change my interior color of my object. So I can choose whichever color I want. I can also choose no fill if I don't want it to be filled in at all. There's other options here as well. I'll come back to a few of these other ones that are available. But I can pick any of my fill colors that I like. My shape outline, I can choose the outline color. So this is the exterior line color. So I can go through and pick whichever color I want on that. I can also choose no outline. So if I don't want the shape outlined, I can choose no outline. I can also choose the weight of the line, which is the thickness of the line. So if I want a very thin, narrow line, I can choose the 1/4 point, or I can go all the way to very thick lines around the object. Okay? And you can change the pattern as well. If I wanted it dashed or dotted around the outside, I have those options also. So if you wanted to make it for like a cutout and you wanted to make sure that you're giving instructions to cut along the dashed line, you can do those kinds of things with it as well. So you have several different options when it comes to things like your shape outline and shape fill. There are effects here. You can do shadow drops, you can do edges that are softened edges. You can put a bevel on your shape. So you have several different options for how you might utilize this. There's 3D rotations on here. Let me move it over even a little further there. So I can do the 3D rotations here, and it will look like it's turned in 3D space. So you have several different options on what you might do with your drawn image there. Let me go back to the shape fill. So in shape fill, we looked at the solid colors. We also have a couple of options. There's pictures, there's gradients, and there's textures. So I can fill this shape in with something like maybe a texture, and now it's a textured fill. Or I can choose the gradient fill and have a fill that shades from one color to another, from dark to bright. So you can do gradient fills. You can also do things like a picture fill. So if I wanted to fill this in with an image, I can do a picture fill. So I can go in here and I will choose one of the sample images that come with the computer here. Or let me just choose this image right here. So I can choose that, hit insert, and whatever picture I have gets filled inside of the object. So you can put a picture fill as well. So there's several different options on how you can fill in a graphic. Okay? So that is the insert shapes option. So you have several different options when it comes to that. Other things you can do for custom graphics is sometimes you want custom graphics tied around a word. So we have the word art options. So word art allows you to have whatever you want to type changed into a more artistic style. So it has multiple colors, it may be curved in shape, it has several different options when you're looking at various kinds of word art. Works really well for things like titles, banner graphics, a lot of those kinds of things. So in order to set up word art, the way we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and click on the word art option here at the top, and we can choose any of the default styles if we want to start with any of these default styles. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And it says your text here, so we would type whatever we want. I'm going to just type in example title. Okay? So I have that example title, and it is with the word art style that I chose. I can, at any time, click on my word art to select it. So as soon as I click on it to select it, I can change the word art style to a different one. So I can go in here and pick a different one. I'm going to make sure to highlight the whole thing so that I change all of it the same. So I can go in here and pick a different one if I want. I can add specific effects with the text here on these little drop downs right next to the word art styles. I can choose my different text effects. So if I want a shadow behind it, I can choose shadow options. I can add a reflection underneath my words. I can add a glow to the words. I can do a bevel, rotations, and transformations. These transformations are how we get it to wrap or kind of bend around or look like it's arced. We have several different options in here for those, from subtle ones to more pronounced ones. So you can do any of these options in here. So you can go through and pick the one you want. Once you have one, you have some things you can do with it. So I can grab any of these. Let me go ahead and grab that. And I can still, if I click on it, there's this little pink diamond here. I can use that to change how deeply rotated this is. So I can use that to make some adjustments to how this is rotated. And I can extend this to make the font a little larger here. So you can play around with this in order to get exactly the style and effect you're looking for here. So I can get it less of a curve, more of a curve, any of those kinds of things going on by making some adjustments here. Okay? So you can play around with those options when you're working with word art. So word art is a way to get your text to look a little more artistic than you might otherwise do. So you can use that way. Our last option we're going to look at for doing customized graphics is an option called Smart Art. So Smart Art is customizable artwork that adjusts based upon what you're building. So it has almost a little like an outline tool that you can utilize to make the artwork change intelligently. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that would look like. So I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go over here to the Smart Art option. And on Smart Art, as you look through here, you'll notice that there are several different styles of Smart Art. And they have it broken down by category. So if you're doing something that you need a list, you can use any of the list type options. A process where one thing leads to the next, or a cycle where it works around in a circle. A hierarchy, or relationships between objects. So you can utilize any of these as a example way of doing things here. So as we go through, I'm going to go ahead and just choose the list option. So if I want to make a list of things, I can choose any of these list styles that I like. Let me go ahead and pick one of these. Maybe use this pyramid list. And I'll choose OK. So I have a pyramid list here. Over here is my little outline for my pyramid list. Across the top, I have Smart Art Styles. You probably have noticed the running theme of this Styles area. The Styles area lets you change what the look of any of these looks like. So I can go into the Styles and pick a particular style of pyramid for my pyramid Smart Art here. Change colors lets me go ahead and colorize it in a variety of different ways. So I can look at any of the colorations. So if I'm trying to match an existing presentation, I can utilize any of these color schemes to match an existing presentation. And then over here where we have the actual list, our little pop-out outline, if I go ahead and click the X, you'll see I have this little 2 arrows that'll pop that back out. So this is my outline. I don't actually have to edit this over here. I can actually edit what's going to show up in the pyramid on this side. So I can just start putting my items in. Item 1, Item 2, Item 3. But what makes this Smart Art is I can go beyond what the template shows. So if I hit an Enter and do Item 4, Item 5, it automatically resizes the font. It automatically adds the extra fields in. It automatically puts in all of the elements necessary for that to look consistent with the rest of the look and feel of the existing graphic. So it customizes the graphic based upon your input. So we can do that with any of the different Smart Art options. So let's look at a couple more examples. So this was one of their list examples. I'm going to go ahead and get a new slide here to look at another example. So I'm going to do Insert, Smart Art. This time we'll go ahead and look at a cycle. So if I'm looking at a cycle, I can use any of the cycle diagrams here. I'll go ahead and choose this one. So I'm looking at my cycle, and I'm going to, again, change the color. I can do any of the colorations I like. I can change the style, again, any of the styles that I like. So I can go in here and set this up the way I want. And then over here where it says Type Text here, I can start putting my item information in. I might want Item 1, Item 2, Item 3. But what if my cycle only has 3 items? Well, this is Intelligent Smart Art, so I can get rid of the other 2. I can delete them out, and it will customize it for having just 3 items. Or I can go in and add more. So I can go back into my Smart Art and add in more. So I can do Item 4, Item 5, Item 6. So you can put in as many of these as you need for a particular project. Much like an outline, you can actually even have subtext on these things. And it will add that subtext into your graphic. So underneath Item 1, I now have a little bullet. So you can actually customize these even further. If I decide I don't like the style, I can change any of these layouts and change to a different layout along the way. I can change to a different look. So there's several different ways you can utilize any of these options. Okay? So I can completely customize my Smart Art to have the exact labeling, the exact dimensions, and it keeps it consistent. Every one of these boxes is exactly the same size, exactly evenly distantly created from one another, so it stays as regular as you made it. So the Smart Art option makes a very good looking graphic rather than having to do custom boxes and then draw the arrows yourself and build it that way. So the Smart Art gives you a lot of utility for making a really good looking image, a good looking graphic for a lot of these kinds of processes, cycles, lists that we find ourselves doing quite a bit. So hopefully those tools will be additional tools in your toolbox when it comes to making images. This has been Byte Basics. I'm Earl Yeager, and please follow us on our YouTube EPISD TV Studio site. Thank you.